Who is Albert and what did he mean? Tell us some more.
One of my favorite memories. Okay, during COVID, I remember, at 7 o'clock and everybody was out there playing their instruments. And there was a man that lived right across the street from my mom's house, which is in Albert's building. And he would play the trumpet out there. And I was like fiending to find out who this man was, right? So I text Albert and I tell Albert, yo, there's a man upstairs in the rooftop. He said, yeah, I saw him. I said, I want to meet him. Come over, Nena. He used to call me Nena and he used to call me Bella. Come over. And we're going to go up there and we're going to have like a free concert. We'll do a live. And Albert was just like such one of those people that has a passion for sharing music the way I have that passion. So we go and we meet up, and I get off the elevator, and I see him with the pamper on his head and a mask. And he has such a funny personality, always joking around. And, so yeah, that was one of the memories. And we got videos of it, and we had a good time. And that's one of the good memories that I have of him. There was another memory that I have, because Albert used to live right across the street from Mommy's house. And so we didn't, being that he was like a year older than I am, we didn't go to school together, but we graduated out of the same high school as well. He was friends with my husband's cousin people, and I lived in the Bronx. So, they came over. He would go through my record collection, my vinyls.
Wait up. So tell us what high school. I didn't know you lived in the Bronx. Where in the Bronx did you live?
No. I was born and raised in Manhattan, but at one time I lived in Longwood and Beck Street in the Bronx when my kids were little. So, Albert came over with people, and he sees my crates, with my vinyls in it. So right away, his eyes were like, bing, one of those. And he was like, oh, let me check out your vinyl collection. So I let him go in. And he was like, oh, shit, he'll pick up the record album. Oh, shit, you know how much this one is worth? So his brain was like a store, a record store, from all the years that he worked in record shops. He would tell me how much things were worth. And if you ever want to get rid of these records, Kat, just give me a call, So that's how his brain worked, records and money, because to me, he was like a hustler, like one of those record junkies, collectors, but he also used to hustle the records, which is pretty cool, So, yeah.
Do you remember how you first met Albert?
To be honest, I don't remember how. I mean, we always grew up across the street from each other. What I do remember is reconnecting with him back in the early or mid 2000s. Around 2006, Victor Rosado had a party called We Got Our Own Thing. At that time, I was doing the Ashe parties and promoting and managing Lou Gobert. And so Victor asked me, Kat, I'm doing this party, would you see if we can do something together? So Lou played the party. And when I entered, Albert sat as the door host. So I was like, oh, how are you? Like we kind of reconnected because in the late 90s, I had moved out to Pennsylvania. So we weren't really seeing each other too much into that particular time. That's when we reconnected and he started getting back into music and, going out to the parties and stuff. So that was the party that I remember Lou played and the Martinez brothers played. It was like basically their first time coming into that kind of underground setting and a lot of loft, because me, Victor, of course, were loft garage, so a lot of our friends came. There was a lot of loft and garage people there that night. And it was cool, just to see those kids, growing up. But Albert was there at the door giving out, I don't know I forgot the name of it. He used to carry this juice, right? I think it was like bug juice. He had this funny name for it. Yo, you want a shot of the bug juice? I was like, sure, I'll take a shot, whatever. But he was always so cool and a people person, you know? And I think that's what connected me with him again, the music and the community. And then I would see him along the way, going to different parties, especially garage parties, the reunions. We would meet up. And every time we would go to like one of those parties that were, out of the way, he would always make sure that I got home safe. You know, he was like, "Yo, you coming with me?" Him, Jose Gomez. One time, they saw me waiting for an accessoride, right, to get back to my mom's house, and he says, "Yo, Nana, where you going?" I said, "I'm going back, to Manhattan." And he was like, "Oh, cancel your accessoride. We're gonna take you." And that's the type of person he was, very giving, and I think it's, one of the reasons why, he's very loved. And I'm happy that you're doing this
No,
because his story should be told, you know?
what did he mean to the New York City scene?
In my personal opinion, being a record dealer, I think he he had to mean a lot. Because think about it, back in the days when you would shop for vinyl, right? And music, the person behind that counter knows if they're music lovers, they're gonna take the time to listen to the records. They're the ones that are gonna say, "Yo, Joey or whoever that comes to the store, I recommend this. You got to listen to this record." And to me, he's the first person to introduce the music to the DJs. So I feel, in my personal opinion, is he should be celebrated and recognized for that. You know, that's just my personal opinion because sometimes people in the background, like we were talking about, they don't get that recognition. It's the ones in the front, the DJs, the producers, they get that type of recognition. But then the people in the background that pushes the music, they should also get that recognition. I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah. So
And then the last question, what do you think his legacy or lasting impact will be on our scene?
his legacy. I think he was like one of the number one record collectors and pushers back in the days. And everybody loves Albert. Everybody loves Albert. I'm sure, those that work with him, back in downtown, he used to also work in a Latin shop on 42nd Street in the subway station. I would see him there as well. I would get off, you know, the number one train, and the record shop. It was like a Latin record shop, and I would always stop just to say hi to him. So he pushed Latin music too, you know. But his legacy, just the fact that he was a good person, and he did a lot for our community and our industry. And I think this is the reason why I had that feeling inside that he should be celebrated on Go Bounce FM, you know. And I'm glad that everybody's, you know, doing their part to get this done. And thank you, MUEMA.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you for helping organize this, for organizing this and making it.
Yeah, we have a good time, you know, and just hearing other people's memories about him is gonna be cool, you
Absolutely.
know, because everybody has their own experience with him,
Exactly.
you know.
Albert, what he meant to the scene. Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know Albert until I kind of like walked into the store. You know, I didn't know him like friends or anything like that, because at that time you were making your rounds to Dance Track, Satellite, Final Mania, you know, 8 Ball. We basically used to keep my shopping downtown, you know, but I was Ralphie Solar. I don't know if you remember him, but he recommended that I go up to Uptown, and that's why I met. That's why I met Albert, and he knew me. I didn't know him. He knew me. He says, "I know you. You're Joey Llanos. You're playing at the Choice. You're there with Richard Vasquez, and you're doing every other Saturday." He knew the whole routine. I was like, "Really?" And he just like he pulled out a stack of records and gave them to me. He says, "Go check these out," and that was it. I was hooked. You know, I went there every week. He was responsible for a lot of stuff, especially imports that I introduced at the Choice, and he was definitely a go-to guy, man. You walked in there, it was like Captain Kirk at the Enterprise. He was like, you know, because I don't know if you remember the store, but it was a little platform where he was raised up. And he was just looking around, and he was doing this and doing that, pointing to this one, and your record's over here. I only got a few records left over here. Here's one, and he always had a stack of records for me when I came in, and I would come in. There was no like scheduled either Friday, Saturday, Thursday. He knew I would come in at the end of the week, and he would have something for me. And you know, after a few purchases, he knew exactly what I needed. I didn't have to tell him anything. He would just give it to me. He says, "Oh, you're definitely going to play this. You like to introduce new stuff." And it wasn't only me. He serviced a lot of people, man. A lot of top tier DJs were coming in and out of there. I was very surprised because the store was way uptown. You know, I was used to hanging out downtown. And his personality was wonderful, man. I can't remember a time where I saw where his frequency or his energy was low. You know, where there was an attitude, or if something was bothering him, or he was ill. Even to recently, where you know, when you ran into him, if you've known him for a long time, you could tell he was having some health issues. It would never come across his lips. It would never come at you through his personality. He always greeted you the same loving way, you know, and he was just a master at what he did as far as knowing music. You know, he was definitely one of the go-to people for me.
Nice. Um, Talk to me about this. I wasn't familiar with the store Uptown. So tell us about the store Uptown location. Where was that?
Exactly. Is it like the dirty rock and soul? Rock? Are we talking about rock and soul?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it was in like that 34th Street area. Very busy, and they sold some equipment in there and stuff like that. It wasn't like dance tracks was very loungy. You could sit on the couch and you really didn't have to do anything. You could just listen to what the guy was playing, and then if you liked it, you got up and you grabbed one, whatever. Or you could listen to. They had listening stations also, but just like that area is, that's how the store was. So, I mean, I didn't really spend too much time in there. It was basically an in and out because just because of the atmosphere. It had nothing to do with him. It was just he would give me my stack of records, and I'd keep it going and do my research at home and bring back stuff if stuff didn't work.
Did he ever put you on to music that wasn't really your bag, but you were like, oh, I like this?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He would introduce me to jazz pieces, some rock pieces. He would introduce me to Latin stuff. There was no limit to, and I gave him no limits because he would ask me. He says, well, what are you into? Do you mind if I make some suggestions and put them in your bag? And I said, absolutely. Whatever you feel is something that should be shared, put it in the bag. And I hardly ever returned anything he gave me, especially if it was a special recommendation of his. Like if it got a rise out of him, and you could see it in his eyes, he was like, he couldn't really talk to you because the store was like Macy's. It was like, and now at least it was like that the times that I went in. Whenever I went in, it was like kind of like after work. It was always busy in there. So he's like, here, there's 1, 2, 3 in there. That's gonna be like, you see his eyebrows go up, and he's like, trust me. And then he keep it moving, and he wasn't lying. He always came through.
Nice. So it sounds like the store and Albert were more than just a store, but like it was a critical connection point for a lot of DJs as well. Because it sounds like he fed a lot of people really good music.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. He was definitely feeding a lot of people, and he made it easy for especially at that time I was working full time, so the DJ stuff was after work, so and I would spend a lot of money. I'd spend like $300-400 a week on vinyl, because at that time, the imports were $7 to $10 a piece. So it's not like now you can get something for $2.99 or $1.99. It was like you got one track, and if the rest of the flip side was whack or the second track was whack, you paying $10 for that thing. And they weren't taking back imports. You ate the import. So I got crates and stuff like that, but where you only have one track on it. But yeah, man, no, he was definitely. I mean, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but he made my research easy. You know, because you got to go through a lot of music, especially if you're playing, 10 hours. It's just not this. Back then, choice wasn't like it is now. It's 2 hours and go home. A lot of these DJs don't know what it is to do long sets like that on a weekly basis. But you need a lot of material. So and he provided it. He provided it. He was one of the stores that provided it.
Nice. And then I didn't know him. I knew of him. Was he also a DJ outside of the store, and he just worked in the store?
I didn't know him for being a DJ. I never went to any events that he played.
Hmm.
I was invited to anything that he did, he was promoting something or selling records or something like that. I don't know. I mean to know music on the level that he did, you don't have to be a DJ. You just gotta be, an aficionado, and that he certainly was. You know, disc jockey. That term is thrown around so much, man. It's just like he was, as far as being one of the masters of the craft of selecting, he was one. Maybe he didn't have the title of top tier DJ or legendary DJ or famous DJ, but he'd be on my panel when it came to selecting music. Absolutely, Albert Marrero.
And I guess the last question is, what do you think his legacy is, or what did he mean to the scene?
I think he has definitely left a major void in knowledge of selecting musical pieces and instrumental, music that was worthy of being played. Not just like, electronic noise that you're recording in your bedroom from whatever equipment you bought. He was like, no, he would turn you on to musicians, to music. I mean, he was, to me, he's a DJ's DJ. You know what I'm saying? If for lack of a better term, he's one of those behind the scenes guys that make it possible for guys like me to look good behind the turntables, and a lot of times you don't see those guys. All you see is, the DJ put this great track on, man. He's amazing, man. I got it from Albert. I wouldn't have known about it. Or I got it from Manny Lehman, or I got it from, whoever that's pushing the vinyl, at the time. He's definitely, I would call him a master at his craft.
When I would call Albert, he would always make me laugh.
Okay.
And he was an encyclopedia in music. Those are two things that I can always remember.
When and where did you meet him?
When did I meet him? I think to the guys, to print the guys from with Joey and Paul. That's how I met him.
Got it.
And it was him. Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was with the guys. It was with Paul, Hiram, and Joey. Yes.
Perfect. What did Albert mean to the scene?
What did he what?
What did he mean?
Say it again.
What did he mean to the music scene? What did Albert mean to the music scene?
Well, you will ask Albert about one song, and instantly he would tell you. And he was a big part of the scene. We actually wanted to do something. Manny, Eduardo, he wanted to talk to Legends of Vinyl so we can give him an award, honestly.
Wow.
We wanted to do that.
Wow.
Albert was a nice guy. He was always laughing. He smiled. He had a good heart. He always brought fruit and stuff to drink and water, and he gave it out in the parks when he was around people.
Wow.
He had a big heart.
So you used to go to the record store every week?
Albert, I know about the record store. Lolly's my friend. Lolly Dash.
Uh-huh.
She's my friend. He would talk to me a lot about that. I was more into the garage. You got to remember, I used to go to the Paradise Garage. Albert, I love Albert. I'm sad that he's gone. Albert was an encyclopedia. He was a wonderful person. When my mother got sick, he brought me to my house. He brought his mother's wheelchair, and he brought me another piece, like something so my mother won't have to go to the bathroom. He brought that to me from Manhattan, uptown Manhattan. Albert was a giving person, a kind person. He was an encyclopedia. Um, he told me stories. You know, we were personal friends. We were good friends. I couldn't believe when he died. That really, really, it still bothers me. It still hurts. Albert was a really, really extraordinary person, and he should have gotten an award. Manny Eduardo wanted to talk to Mario so we can give him an award at Legends of Vinyl, but he passed away. Now with everything is electronic. It's not the way it used to be. Even though Albert, he told me he would talk to me about vinyl and the records, the actual records. He said, yeah, they have one place. He said in North Carolina. It takes a lot of money to press those records. This is a lot of money. There's a lot involved. Albert was really, really, really a smart, beautiful, respectful soul, beautiful person. I met Albert now. I didn't know Albert from back then. We probably saw each other, but I didn't, you understand? You know, we became very, very good friends. I worried a lot about him and he worried about me and we would talk and he was such a brilliant person. He was a good, simple person. He wasn't like shady or snotty or no. Albert was very, very, very nice. No, the music industry is different.